Well, my influences are pretty much pretty straightforward, but I do have a lot of them, and I tend to take from everybody. I mean, like my early influences were Clapton. You know, it's like I got a lot of the phrasing from him. I got like a lot of the early Clapton stuff with the Blues Breakers and Cream. I got a lot of that kind of stuff. BB was a big influence, especially on the blues side, because it just, again, it's a phrasing thing, it's then little Albert King thrown in there, and then I got into guys like Jeff Beck, where he does a lot of the pull-off kind of things. And that's, the early stuff, like from the Truth record, just the heavier blues stuff, which I like. Going on, from there, I mean, obviously Stevie Ray Vaughan was my first record that I ever bought, or my dad bought it for me. I didn't have any money when I was 4. Stevie Ray Vaughan was the first record I bought, which, he did a lot of that. He was more like Albert King, Hendrix, where... He was good at punctuating notes, like, So if you start listening to all these guys, then you go, oh, okay, I start hearing a little bit more of what I'm doing. So it's all kind of been put together. And there's guys like Eric Johnson, which you get all the fast stuff, and but he does a lot of the muting. The kids were trying to get his stuff, which took me years to figure out, and I actually met him a few times and said I tried to steal everything. It really is more about the muting, what it is, and it's just basically you got to use a lot of your palm stuff, palm muting, and just make sure your picking is clean, because if you don't hear the notes, that's a lot of his sounds. Not so much as he has a very fast left hand, but it's more just clean picking and the tone too. It's like rolling the tone off the Les Paul or the Strat. So, and if you put all those people together, then there's guys like Danny Gatton, who actually gave me guitar lessons when I was a kid. He did a lot of that country stuff, And he showed me how to play, basically. That sounds not right for country, but it's close enough. He showed me a lot about using the pick and the fingers at the same time. Which is good for rhythm, it's good for chords, and so if you put all those guys together, that's me. Well, my right hand technique is pretty simple. I use these little Jazz 3 Dunlop picks, which unfortunately I've asked several times and they can't fit Bonamassa on them, so they're just stock Jim Dunlop Jazz 3s. And I use a lot of times when I play rhythm, I play with my thumb and these 3 fingers. And I think you get more of a human quality. So, I mean, that's one aspect of that. And then when you start putting the picking involved, then that's just straight pick, and then you put them all together with your, pick and fingers. So you get a lot of control, and a lot of it has to do with muting too. And what you basically do is you basically just have your little finger around the volume knob, and you start at 0 or wherever on this guitar, actually nothing really happens until you're like 2.5 or 3. And then you basically just start and you just follow the rhythm of what you're playing and let your finger just kind of go up and you go back to the original point. It's almost like, I watched this thing on DJs one time and they have this, they mark the records and they go back to this. It's kind of the same concept. It's the closest thing to me being hip. It's good for like swell chord. Good for the yes stuff. And this is good for soloing too. And it's easy to do. That's the easiest thing I know. Well, a lot of it's pull-offs too. The Eric Johnson stuff basically kind of starts with the picking, and it's just the pentatonic runs. And it always kind of starts on the same, note. He fixates on the roots, And basically, well, I always listen to him. He has tons of delay and some different sound than this, but a lot of it's, And basically what it is, it's like knowing the fretboard. You sit there and you go, where's all my G's? You got 1. There's all your G's. So if you kind of just, and you build your runs around them, so you can kind of start. That's kind of sloppy, but it was close enough. But basically what it is, you just kind of like know the fretboard, and you can play, and then basically in the key of G here, you can just basically eyeball and play it anywhere. And it's just his phrasing. It's all those rooted stuff, and there's a lot of he throws in a lot of the minor, inversions, some of the classical inversions. I don't know the names of them, but you kind of pick it up by ear, and he really has a very interesting way of taking on the guitar, and where I think it works good for my style because it's it kind of expands the boundaries of blues and throwing a fast riff here or there, and people go, oh, that's cool. Well, you write parts. When you sing, you want to write parts that that make sense. You don't want to have to be playing and then singing a verse over the top of that. You don't want to do that. You try to want to, especially with a power trio, you want to kind of spread it out. Where you just have like these root things, you can almost play a and then all of a sudden you start getting into the groove of it, and it's a lot easier than mostly doing very complicated stuff. But singing and playing, it takes a long time, and it's like left brain, right brain. For me, I can sing, play, but I can't chew gum at the same time. It really is strange. No, it's a left brain, right brain, and I think being a singer makes you a better player, and I think, being a guitar player makes you a better singer. You have more respect for either side of it, and because before when I was in that band Bloodline, I would just blaze over everything and didn't care. So. Yeah, I do a lot of that stuff. I do a lot of instead of playing just straight G, is like my favorite key today. I don't know. Basically, your bar chords, and these little inversion chords are they create more space, but they fill more sound. It's a weird thing, They're just clear. I use a lot of fifths and that kind of stuff, where it just fills out the sound, Warren Haynes uses a lot of these kind of. They're just fifths, but they, if you do them kind of interesting way, But it also gets back to the playing and singing thing too. If you can play G here, then a C, not moving your hand, you can just. Everything just kind of anchored right there, and then. And you can basically play a whole 1-4-5 progression without even moving your hand a lot, and and just knowing different varieties of it, But a solo has to mean something, Like look at B.B. King for he can he can play he can just go. And then everybody got everybody's attention. They're go. So I mean, just depends on how you want to start a solo, how you want to be perceived from the audience. I'm more of I want to grab everybody's attention. I want to feel the emotion that I'm feeling. So I don't want to start a solo. You don't want to do that first. You want to grab one. And then you can add it towards the end. But when I build a solo, it usually starts from a point, and I usually start low. And you don't want to be in one register. Some guys I won't mention any names, but they just all night long, and it's just too high. The guitar, there's more to the guitar to that. I find you could. This mid-range kind of stuff from here to here, you get a lot of. You get a lot of the cool phrasing, and the guitar sounds like a human voice. You want to just kind of, again, it's about connecting with people, and and I play too many notes a lot of times too, just but whatever you're feeling is really what you should do. So.